Listen to the people. Listen to humanity. Listen to the parrot. Parrot TV. Parrot TV. Parrot TV. Parrot TV. Parrot TV. Parrot. Listen to the people. Listen to humanity. Listen to the parrot. Parrot TV. Parrot TV. Parrot TV. Parrot TV. Parrot TV. Listen to the people. Listen to humanity. Listen to the parrot. Parrot TV. Parrot TV. Parrot TV. Parrot.
America Open Market. AO Market. The best digital market for humanity is a free multilingual borderless market open to international sellers with various languages included. With America Open Market, you may start selling in minutes after filling out the form. Comprehensive dashboard where you understand your sales, orders, and customers is available. You get paid directly, securely, and instantly on the America Open Market. You can sell your house, car, electronic laptop, CD player, boombox, phone, headphones, furniture, and clothing, and anything on AmericaOpenMarket.com where all your sales and customer needs are met. Register as a merchant today. You will not regret becoming a vendor at America Open Market. For further inquiries, contact us at aomarket@gmail.com. AO Market, best digital marketplace for humanity. Hello, welcome to World Inkers Network, and thanks for joining us as a viewer today. And I'm Dustin Pickering, your noble and honest host. And today, our guest is Damon Freed. He is an artist who cherishes balance, reason, and ambiguity, and expresses it through a variety of working methods, from abstract realities to non-objective paintings of grids and color wheels. He believes reality exists on the edge of perception. And while his mom and dad have been his greatest and best influences, Agnes Martin and Bryce Martin's work are among them. He has received his BFA from the School of Visual Arts in New York City, where he graduated with honors. Freed taught at two places for 10 years at the college level. His first year was in 2009. His MFA is from Hunter College, City University of New York. Freed has studied with such luminaries as Jack Whitten, Marilyn Minter, David Chow, Juan Sanchez, Sanford Wormfeld, Toby Kahn, Lucio Pazzi, Tim Rollins, Alicia Aycock, Susan Creel, Anton von Dalen, Susan Anker, Donald Cuspit, Katie Segal, among others. He has been exhibited in galleries in New York City, St. Louis, Kansas City, and Columbia, Missouri. And his writing, his influences are his mother and father, sister and brothers, and friends mostly. His inspirations are from family and dearest friends and people he meets in every direction. He has not been formally trained in poetry, but is an avid writer of works and spoken word. He has 13 books of poetry published, self-published. He has been published by the Writer's Place Online and by the Rye Whiskey Review, and is featured in our own Parrot, Literary Parrot's recent book. Check that out if you haven't already checked that out. You may find his collections of poetry in the Sedalia Public Library as well. Welcome to the show today, Damon. Nice to meet you again. So what's new with you? I believe you have a book out from Writers, World Inkers Printing and Publishing. So tell us a little bit about the book. What prompted the title, Go Forth? That's an excellent title for a good kick in the groin, I guess you could say. It's a really interesting way of presenting the work. So yeah, that's a cover designed by our own producer MUTIU. You can see the art in the background of my background. Go Forth, 2011 to 2022 poetry. So where does the title come from?
So the title comes from an inspiration I had one night sitting down to write. So before, you get that, I got those two words in my head and I wrote them out, and the exclamation point on the end was necessary, and that's the final kick in the rump.
Mhm.
But you know, hopefully it charges the viewer a little bit to read. And myself, when I get up to do spoken word, it's a challenge.
Mhm.
So, you know, yeah. In that sense, go
Both
for it.
forms of motivation.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Okay.
just read, Damon. You know, when I get on stage, it's like just read.
Right, right. Yeah, I know when I read sometimes when I would do performances, I'd just say, just do it, Dustin. Just do it. Get up and
Yep.
do it. So, do you have trouble doing public performances or anything like that, or do you have a routine you go through to practice?
You know, I mean, I've done it often enough by now that I'm good at it. But I'm nerves strike at strange times with me.
Mm-hmm.
So you know, there can be a lot of ums, there can be a lot of ands, there can be, you know, many stifling entries to the poem that kind of you know, I have to brush off and not do that. And sometimes preface, it's a reminder not to preface poems all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, which is you know, something like Billy Collins, you know, I mean, he nearly prefaces every poem that I've ever heard him read. You know, I haven't heard him live in you know, person, but anything online that I've ever listened to, him and others, you know. But so yeah, I like
Interesting.
to start.
Yeah, just jump in and go at it, like jump in the water and swim.
I learned that, I mean, you know, maybe I say a couple things about myself, but not
Mm-hmm.
about the poem I'm going to read. I learned that early on through a friend of mine, Stuart Grimko. And there was a recording of him. Unfortunately, I couldn't make that reading that night, but it was at Max Protest Gallery in New York City. I remember that distinctly. And I made his second reading, but, you know, he was introduced. He walks up there to the microphone, says hi, greets the people, and just reads.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was wonderful. Immediately you're engaged, you know.
Wow. So you work with you using your poems as a kind of engagement process, trying to engage viewers or readers as well.
The best I can, because the second you start to say what it's about, then, you know, Dustin, as you know, it becomes about that for the first few lines. And you know, you being a poet yourself, you know, should know that, right? So I think in terms of, you know, not, I'm going to repeat myself here. Not on this show, but it's an analogy I like to use. Well, I'll just say this: the poem should be read in present tense. I try to do it that way. So
Mm-hmm.
even if it's an older poem, what I mean by that is I try to get into that headspace and to locate myself within the poem. If I cannot, yeah. So that's how I do it.
Interesting. So most of your poems are autobiographical, and you base them on, real life experiences that you've had. Do you ever throw in a little fantasy in there, just get a kick out of it?
I do, absolutely. You know, most are that way because if it were up to me, I'd dredge around in my own sorrows until the end. You know,
Mm-hmm.
but you've got to make something of of the piece of the pieces. Um, so it's kind of like you've got to save the poem by the end. It can't just be, I mean, well, it can. It can certainly be whatever it wants to be. In an autobiographical sense, I try to be real, you know, with whatever I'm feeling at the time. Certainly, you know, if I do, I have this thing where truth and fact are different. To
Mm-hmm.
me, there's fact on one side, fiction on the other, and truth resides in the middle somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So
So you just kind of, it's sort of like fact and fiction. Fiction is really, sort of taking the truth and bending it a little bit and maybe putting some feelings into it or something.
yes.
How would you just differentiate between fact and fiction?
I'm
As far
sorry.
as how would you differentiate between fact
So
and fiction as far as your own work?
as far as my own work goes, fact. Oh man, that's a great question, Dustin. Slightly stump. Well, let me put it this way. Of late, not all of my poems certainly happen this way, but of late, I've been writing in third person. So when a poem begins, it's toward beauty.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm writing that way, that's not necessarily a factual account unless I'm depicting something beautiful I saw, or heard in dialogue, speech, something like that. But I'm catering at times, which is a fault of my own, to an end rhyme or to a formal necessity, wherein I go back and edit the poem's meaning.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to flush it out of my soul, I mean, I flesh it out, right? Not flush, but flesh.
Maybe a little bit of both.
Yeah, right. Sometimes it is a little bit of both before the edit happens.
Speaking of a kick in the groin.
Right, thanks. Oh man, they do that to us, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
You
Poetry to me, it's like, as you mentioned, you're kind of like taking, you're collaborating with your soul, I guess you could say, in a way to create something that's of a form, and you want to, you're trying to impose on that form something real at the same time, something that's not real,
Right, right. Yes. So you have that nugget of fact, and then the fiction can't dissolve the fact entirely. That's why I call it truth, because the writing mechanism meets the real experience, and the marriage of the two into truth. Hopefully each poem has something to offer in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's up to the listener, the viewer, however, however that, through discussion or in their own mind upon hearing the poem, in their own gut, in their own soul, they make the decision of what it was about.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Yeah, that's part of the process, is the reader's interpretation and understanding what's going on and what the feelings are there. And yeah, so from what I remember, and I've read about half of the book. I haven't read the whole thing, but I've read about half of it. And I remember there was a little bit of a mention of me in there. So tell us about that. When did that come up?
Okay, so that one is Fighting with the Man Upstairs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, upon our initial interview for this, which was, gosh, a year ago, the first time you had me on on World Inc. on your network.
Yeah.
I'm stumbling over my words. The first time you had me on.
Yeah.
The initiative was to locate you in the poem, and I did that through sensing your love first and foremost, but then it goes on to say, I mean, I'm happy to read the poem today, but it goes on to say something a little bit more powerful. And turns out you know, it's like, here we are. I've been writing these poems and you're editing them, and you know, it's not always win or lose, you know. But and sometimes you're stronger than I am and I'm weak, and that's what that's about, you know.
Yeah,
So,
sort of a little bit of a slapstick feeling to it too. As I remember the spatulas in there and so forth. Leonard Cohen in there, you know.
there is.
Hallelujahs, you know. If I remember, that was the basic, you know, the basic thrust of the poem. If anybody out there wants to check that out, the Go Forth is available from World Inkers at worldinkers.com under books. If you want to take a look at the poem itself, and Go Forth, a nice paperback of about 500 and something pages of 10 years or so worth of Damon's work, and a beautiful cover. It does not have that stripe on it. If you buy the actual copy, that's reader's proof. So take a look at it. If you want to read the poem, feel free. We'll get you started.
I should be reading from the actual book, but this is what I have in front of me. So hopefully it makes do today.
Okay.
And, you know, yeah, I mentioned a wooden spoon in the poem.
That's right. That spoon.
My mom, you know, we never got hit with the wooden spoon, but boy, you know, and my dad actually was the enforcer, you know, at times of the belt. So my mom was the wooden spoon, my dad was the belt, and my babysitter was the switch. And at that time, but rarely, I'll never forget. I put books down my. That's a good metaphor. I should write about this sometime. I put books inside my drawers one time, and my drawers, and my dad came up with the belt and or the wooden spoon, who knows, you know, and kind of like lightly tapped me, you know, with the spoon as to get the job done in a loving way. So that was pretty much when I knew it had come to an end, you know. Any sort of in our household, any sort of you know, punishment.
Interesting.
So, yeah. You know, and it's funny because my you know, I don't want to get too deep here today. I mean, you know.
So how do you, when you're writing, how do you choose the words? I mean, do they just sort of present themselves, or how does the process go for you?
When I write, yeah, I mean, you know, they come to me in a speedy manner. Most of the, that's actually not true. Let me take that back. So when I gotta get my brain around this real quick, if you know, if I can have a moment, let me open the book to a page. Yeah, so I opened the book to a poem, Ascend, which is about a 30-page poem, in 12-point font, 6x9. Actually, it's about a
website down there, just in case everybody's watching. That's what that is. If you guys want to take a look at that as you're watching today, sure, go ahead.
It was so thank you. It was thank you all. It was my intention to write this poem, Ascend, in a month's time, and I did succeed with little editing from myself. Now it comes to find out that poem was one that took, you know, as you know, or maybe, you know, a little bit more shaping up. So spelling was, I mean, a lot of incorrect spellings, etc.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a terrible speller. I don't catch a lot of that off the bat. That's why I did what I did. So it was good, Dustin. Thank you, to have someone who can look through the most of the book and fix it. I mean,
Credit goes to my colleague and business partner Z.M. Wise. He did the spelling and proofing for the book.
Thank you, Zachary.
So we're going to take a brief break, but we'll be right back and listen to some of your works, and we'll enjoy that, and everybody will be inclined to listen. So thanks for watching the program today, everybody. Keep an eye out just a minute here, and we'll be right back. Are you curious about financial literacy? Then take a look at Professor Anthony Rivecchio's new program on Parrot TV. It's called Financial Focus University. This is an excellent program to learn about questions related to your own finances post-COVID, and how you can manage your money, how you can work with your tax situation. And this is an excellent and informative discussion of financial literacy. With Professor Anthony Rivecchio, your financial problems will be solved at Parrot TV with Financial Focus University. Do you know that there is a publishing company that wants to make life easier for you as a writer? This publishing company is called World Inkers Printing and Publishing. We publish in all different languages, and we're looking for writers of all genres, all formats. We're looking for scholars, ghostwriters, playwrights, poets, short fiction, novelists, you name it. We're looking for anybody who is interested in writing and the craft of writing to be in touch with us. You can reach us at info.worldinkers@gmail.com. With World Inkers Printing and Publishing, you do not require a lot of money to publish with us. Contact us today at info.worldinkers@gmail.com. Become a winner with other authors at World Inkers Printing and Publishing. Give us a shot. We will surely convince you. Back to World Inkers Network. Thanks to our viewers today. And remember, you can leave comments during the program if you're enjoying it, if you're interested in what Damon has to say. So let's get him on here with some of his poetry, and we'll listen from his book, Go Forth. So go forth, Damon.
Okay, I'm going to go forth here. Here we go. When Sue wears blue, you all. When Betsy Sue wears blue, her eyes light up like two sapphire discs in the moonlight. Come with a rushing wind, nature. When Betsy Sue wears blue, a queen from sometime dead Victorian day walks again. Blow your whistle, almighty nature. And the beauty of Betsy Sue in blue burns in my heart like the cobalt hue of the fire of the heavens. Sweet azurite wind. Nature. Thank you.
Excellent. Good imagery there. A little bit of lyrical quality to it. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you, Dustin.
So what's the next? Next?
Easy money. It's not easy money. Doing what we do, but
right.
Here we go. Easy money, you all. This is about a guy I met in see, there I go again. Easy money. With soul in one hand out holding the 10 cups, sing it to yourself. Cha-change, 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 cha-change. Yeah. He had soul. All right. Every morning and every evening he had soul. And I don't know if he's still kicking, this man, but he had soul. And this destitute old boy earned every single penny, nickel, dime, and quarter he had coming. Unlike the bums. And that's the distinction between a bum and a destitute. The destitutes have soul. The bums are all washed up. Their souls have run south for good. Just like that old Mississippi runs downhill and empties into the Gulf. Well, their tears done dried up. Yeah, ain't no ocean at the end of their tears. Just rotten flesh and dry old cheekbones. Empty ebony sockets of evil. That's a bum for you. Turn their back on you the second you hand them a sandwich or a 50. Doesn't matter, though. Old Easy Money had soul. And he couldn't dance. Or maybe he could. And he couldn't rhyme. Or maybe he could. And he couldn't read. Or maybe he could. But boy, could he sing 2 lines better than me or Muddy Waters on a good night. Cha-change, cha-change, cha-change. Cha-change, cha-change, cha-change. Yep. That's how he sang it all right. Just like that. And he was old and tired, so he'd sit on the stoop of that city, just owning the wind and the jackhammers and the rich and the poor. And I talked to him once. Couldn't understand a damn thing he was saying except 2 lines. But sure, we talked. And I was new to that city, but he took me in. And I took him in. And you know how they never tell you how hard things are going to be? Well, after one look at him, you just knew it was going to be a long, hard road ahead. And that goes for me, for you, for everyone, that is, if you want soul. So, Easy Money. This one's for you. Except this time, I'm going to sing it to you. And if you're alive, and I know you are, whether up there or down here, you listen real close now, because it ain't mimicry no more. The pockets are dry, and there ain't no one around here but the sky. So I'm hoping when you hear this, you'll cry a little, like none of those bums ever could. Now fill my cup, baby. Cha-change, cha-change, cha-change. Cha-change, cha-change, cha-change. Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you, Dustin.
Wonderful.
I have one more if it's acceptable.
Sure.
You got to hold on. Around here, the clock strikes noon, and it's coffee and a macaroon. Yellow, pink, and aqua, full of all that macaroon stuffing and the coloration of her chakra. And okra in the summers next to ham is a pleasant meal for us, with some apple sauce on the side. And I hide then onto the studio to do some work. Yes, I take that trip to that part of town, and the blacks all contribute to my mindset in here. And my friends are in fear of them, but really, I don't sweat them, because all of them, and I, is running for the stuffing. And yet, and let it be for my little pink and yellow baby this morning. And God help us, aqua is still draining from the spigots, and that the God upstairs is punching our tickets to the ride. But it's actually midnight and time to go. With a heavy glow from the coffee I'm sipping on, and the light is beaming. So I've got to let you down the hard way and not amidst my dreaming. There ain't no macaroon. There never was. There ain't even any goons to say goodbye or to quarrel with in this studio made of glass. But I ain't weeping inside of it, or maybe I am. I mean, you all just take your sideways glances inside from outside and keep on riding past us anyways. And if you didn't keep on trucking, I would probably murder you anyways. Justice is cruel at times. You know, it gets that way sometimes, beneath the heat in here, with the lamplight leaking and the sunshine bleeding all day and all night long, with my hands tired from typing and my eyes squinting from painting, all day long praying to the currency of love. To the currency of love. So yeah, I'll wake up half refreshed, like always, to the dark of 3 a.m. somehow, still holding on to it all, to the underglow of leafiness light, to the shrub light of back porches and coffee, and perhaps I'll get lucky and catch a white bloom of strength where the glimmer of hope hides by day, but is reflected by porch light back to me, and by crepuscular chance rays, serendipitous and ridiculous, all in the same striking, aching, pissed off motion. And it's a mental mind breaking potion of love and Karen here and out there that gets us going again from here to there. So enjoy it at least this time. And it's time to go anywhere but here, now. Ain't it all so queer? Thank you.
Wonderful. I love the sort of the visual imagery and the actions going on in the poetry. Do you consciously think about what you're writing before you write it, or do you just sit with the page and just let it flow out?
That's a good question, and I do. It's a conscious ebb, and
Okay.
it's a like back and forth.
Right. There's a little improvisation going on too at the same time. Like you're kind of playing like you have a little bit of a plan and an idea in mind, but you kind of form it like like a piece of clay or something.
Not much of a plan.
Not much of a plan.
Not
So
much.
it's an anarchist poem, no plan.
Well, I mean, I think that's a great question because there's always structure, regardless, because of the title. The titles are significant,
Right.
and that one's titled "You Gotta Hold On." In this moment, it just left me too, as to it's also I want to say the last poem in the book, even though factually it's not. Does that make sense? It's the third to last poem in the book. So the crescendo dives after that.
Okay.
Down into the abyss, So it's kind of like the last point. Maybe I should emphasize it, ain't it all so queer? Like that, as opposed to a downtrodden mood. It came out a little wrong, I think, in my reading there of it. But when reading it, I hope it leaves you on an even keel.
Right. Well, obviously, you want to entertain the reader and kind of are going to read it their own way when they're reading it on the page, and then when you're presenting it, in a way you're as a kind of an actor of the poem. You're showing them what it can do, and when they're listening, the oral sense I think can be very stimulating. As opposed to just reading it on the page in your head, or a lot of times sit and read poetry out loud to myself. I read, for instance, all of Richard Wilbur's poetry to myself one Christmas season. I spent that whole season doing that, and that was fun.
That's intense, Dustin. I have his I think selected poems, which is also a tune, and an incredible one at that.
He's amazing.
Yeah.
So what are your influences as far as the writing goes? What writers stimulate, what poets especially stimulate you most to write?
Boy, Kerouac, I think, early on, I know them, but recently Dylan, actually not his poetry though, as much as his songwriting. I glean a lot of information from songwriting, so that's why Leonard Cohen pops up in the work. Bob Dylan pops up in the work frequently, because I mean these are idols of mine, saints,
Mhm.
Not just idols, but not idols, but saints. And I want to get that right, straight. Uh, an idol would be like Agnes
Blind
Martin,
admiration or something. Yeah.
or an idol of mine would be Dickinson, or even though I don't write like her, or Janet Frame, who at times I do write like. In my way, I always stray from a very structured sentence format. I mean, she yeah, I mean, she would often start and end, start with a capitalized word, end with a period, or a comma at the end of each line. I mean, very structured. So and then others, of course, she would leave open. But she's also a saint to me because my God, she nearly won the Nobel Prize. She's an she also she was assigned a lobotomy,
Hmm.
and she saved herself by putting her writing into the world from the hospital. And a publisher came into the hospital, consulted with the doctor, and said, "This lady is not sick," and saved her ass from being sick, ultimately, from being damaged. Yeah.
Hmm. Be
So,
a very life changing, process of lobotomy. I mean, that back then, I think she was from the like 50s and 60s, I think, wasn't she?
yes, that's
Jane
correct.
Frank. Yeah, I remember reading her in high school in 10th grade. We had an assignment of reading part of one of her works.
Okay.
Yeah, from our textbook. Very
Yeah.
interesting.
So, a sweetheart, a girlfriend of mine, Leah Wolf, purchased the Goose Bath for me years ago, and I've been reading it. I've read it probably enough by now, but certainly several times over. And the entry poem to the book, "Poet," is Janet Frames. I mean, would you allow me to read that? Do I have time?
Go for it. We can close off with that.
Okay. Thank you, Dustin. So this is the poem that it starts it off. I mean, it's before the contents. It's a formality to a degree, but I like the poem. It's my favorite, as cliche as it may come off. It's my favorite poem of hers, among others. Poets. If poets die young, they bequeath 2/3 of their life to the critics, to graze and grow fat in visionary grass. If poets die in old age, they live their own lives, they write their own poems, they are their own might have been. Young dead poets are prized comets. The critics queue with their empty wagons ready for hitching. Old living poets stay faithfully camouflaged in their own sky. And it goes on, but you get the meaning,
Mhm.
I mean, that's who I want to be in the end.
So, what final words would you leave our viewers with today? Advice or any comments, wisdom, thoughts?
Right. I
Right.
mean, right.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, just,
Go forth. Buy the book. Go forth.
that's
World
it.
Acres.
Buy my book and write.
Yeah,
Read
take
and
a look at
be
Go
inspired.
Forth. Massive book for $22. You get over 10 years worth of poetry, 530 something pages, and a few good interesting quotes from the likes of John Dewey, Janet Frame, so forth. Go forth with so forth, or so forth with go forth. Would
Thank you, Dustin Pickering. Thank
you
you.
like to give any shout outs at the end here?
Yeah, my parents. Sorry for throwing you under the bus there, which I didn't do intentionally. It just so happens that that came out of me. But hey, it's life, and yeah, I mean, it I wouldn't have a book if it wasn't for them. So,
Right.
And myself, of course, and you, Dustin. So thank you all. And
That's
my
his
friend.
website there, DamonFreed.com. If anybody wants to check that out. So, yeah, absolutely. Thanks for joining us today. And it's been really pleasant talking to you. And hopefully we'll go forth and we'll see some sales on that book.
Yeah.
And there's also a hardback available, $50 on Amazon for it's an older edition. But take a look at the Go Forth from World Inkers Print.
Correction, Dustin. That's no longer available.
Okay, so that's no longer on Amazon.
Yeah, I withdrew that. So, yeah.
All right, so we'll have the paperback available with this wonderful cube art here from Damon's own artwork in his own studio. And just take a look at the book. Just look for it. Have a look and tell us what you think. We have some samples, some excerpts online on World Inkers Printing and Publishing's website at worldinkers.com. So take a look at that. And we'll be back in Saturday. Thanks for joining us, Damon. And thanks to our viewers again for watching today. And remember, you can donate to the program at paypal.me/nyparrot. If you happen to have a little extra cash, just you want to support the arts and get us moving as far as we can go. We need as much help as we can get. Purchase Damon's book if you have a chance. If you don't want to just give money away, you can buy the book or buy one of our other works. That we've published. We have the Peace December Speaks anthology, the Speaks the Armistice, and that's a wonderful collection of peace activism work. Many more books coming in the future in the next few months. Watch for Vandana Kumar's book in December, and we have Troy Camplin coming out with 2 books, and this probably in the next month. And we also have a wonderful anthology of Albanian poetry to be released this month if everything goes according to plan. Unless there's delays, it should be this month. We're almost ready with that. So you can support us again at paypal.me/nyparrot. If you want to be on the show, we'd love to have you. Just write me at this address right here, publication.worldinkers@gmail.com with your headshot and a bio. Or if you want to put an image back here with it instead of your own headshot, we can do that. And don't forget the bio. It's very important. So I have some information to share with our viewers. And remember, this program is every Saturday and every Tuesday. And Tuesdays at this time, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. And on Saturdays at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Thanks for watching. And I hope you have a wonderful day and a wonderful afternoon. And I'm going to put up JD Casey for the fourth comments here real quick. I'll definitely check it out. Thank you so much, JD. And it's a great interview. Thank you again. So go ahead and go forth, buy the book, and we'll love to hear from you in the emails. And just have an excellent day. Get to writing. And be sure to remember you can leave viewer comments and so forth on our program while we're watching. And have an excellent afternoon. So as soon as I pull up the ending spree here, remember I'm slow to come to the show. Here we go. And thank you very much for watching, everybody. Have a great afternoon.
Listen to the people. Listen to humanity. Listen to the Parrot. Parrot TV. Parrot TV. Parrot TV. Parrot TV. Parrot TV. Listen to the people. Listen to humanity. Listen to the